And happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into the Miller's Edge Extra. Read all about it. We're on, we're live, we're popping, we're ready to go. Yeah, it's Thursday night. We're a couple of days away from the showdown. We'll talk about how this West is going to get won. And I mean the SEC West. Alabama has a great opportunity in front of them as they go on the road to College Station, to take on the Aggies of Texas A&M. What a showdown it's going to be. We're going to break it down for you tonight. We're going to throw some keys out there, talking about some other little things, scuttlebutt that's out there. That's fake news, as they say. Fake news. And I don't know, I tweeted earlier, have you heard about that song? Looking at all these rumors around me or surrounding me every single day. And that's what happens when you're a Crimson Tide fan. There's always rumors. We'll talk about some of that as well. Christian Miller, Corey Miller, I'm the pastor of Payne. Hope you're doing well tonight. I know Hey Coach is finishing up. Saban's speaking out at the restaurant, so that should be finishing up anytime soon. And we like to kind of get in right there so we can talk about maybe some things that he said tonight, some things that he said this week about his football team coming off an impressive win on the road in Starkville, taking care of Mississippi State. They've taken care of the state of Mississippi, right? Now they got to figure out how to get their street cred back in that state of Texas, knowing that Texas out of Austin came here and won the game against the Tide. Now they go to Texas and try to get the street cred back, which I'll tell you how they're going to do that. All right, this is the extra read all about it. I'm almost thinking that we're on the radio live. I'm about ready to throw out the phone number. That won't help you. I'm just so used to saying,
we need to get that set up though. We need to get that set up though, because that's what they've been asking for. First, they wanted us to break down tape. We did. We got to figure out the copyright issue. But the other thing was they want us to have a phone line. And so once I figure that out, I think that might be a nice addition to the Miller's Edge Extra. Because like you said, we do it during our regular show Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9, 11 to 12 a.m. Central Time. So you can always check us out there and call us on that line. That's 205-342-9904 if you want that. But we're on YouTube right now, so feel free to drop your questions and join in on the conversation via the comment section. We always like to get you guys involved, but as we always do, we like to preview the matchup. He said it. I call it the battle for the West, of the West, the West showdown, whatever you want to call it. This is going to be a big one. A lot of people have this game circled, rightfully so. We believe it's probably the biggest matchup left on Alabama's schedule. And we'll talk about why that is, the implications from this matchup this weekend, and what we think that Alabama needs to do to walk away victorious. Again, I'm Christian Miller, former Alabama linebacker, sideline reporter for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, along with my dad, Corey Miller, 9-year NFL veteran. And here we are, right here on the Miller's Edge Extra. So where do you want to start? Because I know we gave a little bit of a breakdown on last week, so I don't think we need to spend too much time there. But just to go over it real quick, Alabama obviously walked away with a nice victory on the road, their first SEC game against Mississippi State. I thought they handled it very well. They came out, it was a little shaky initially, but for the most part, they handled that environment. Because I'll tell you, Mississippi State doesn't have the biggest stadium, but those cowbells are so damn annoying, right? You know, it's so disruptive, it's just loud, it's aggravating. And so I thought they handled that first road test in SEC very well. And they played composed. They had good poise. And they did a lot of good things in that football game. They did a really nice job first forcing turnovers on the defense. You saw Caleb Downs come up with an interception. Jahad Campbell came up with the interception. Speak about a guy stepping up, next man up mentality. He filled in nicely for Deontay Lawson. I think he led the team in tackles with 14. I think Caleb Downs was right behind him with 13. And Chris Braswell with the interception, return for 6. Kind of reminiscent of Ryan Anderson's interception against Washington, if you guys remember back in 2016 in that bowl game, kind of picking off the screen or the flare route and taking it back, right? Stiff arming a guy, breaking the tackle. So that was cool to see. So a lot of good things. Then again, the special teams, the kicker, the punter, Reichert and Burnup, obviously still playing at a very high level. So a lot of good things to build off of last week. But overall, a great performance on the road by Alabama. And we'll see if that carries over this weekend. It needs to, at least, right? It has to carry over if they want to win this game, because we talked about it, Texas A&M is going to be a hostile environment. I played at Kyle Field. I think they've got 104,000 plus that they see.
A lot.
It's a lot. and they are loud. A lot of folks, and they're very loud, right? They got the yell leaders on the side. For some reason, I want to say they do cannons or something when they score. Maybe not, or boom. There's some type of loud. It's a lot. It's a cool environment, but it's loud. It's a lot. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how Alabama, especially their offense, is going to handle this challenge, right? We know it's going to be, a tough challenge, communicating when it's that loud, especially on offense. And so we'll see how they handle it. I think they got good experience last week against Mississippi State heading into this. So hopefully that carries over. But we will see. But a lot of other things to really look at in this football game. One thing that I'm going to be looking at is really the matchup of our offensive line versus their defensive line, right? All we hear about is how talented this defensive front is. And rightfully so. They're a really good defensive front. I'll throw some numbers out there. My dad hates numbers. They don't tell the whole story, but they tell part of the story, right? So let's
unless it's cheese, unless it's cheddar.
Oh, he likes those numbers, right? I'm sure, yeah, everybody does, right? So here we go. Alabama right now is currently sitting at the second worst sack allowed rate in the FBS. Not a great number, right? And we've seen that. They've struggled in their pass pro, right? Not just one guy, but left tackle, you got a true freshman. He struggled so far. He really improved. Coach Saban said he thought last week was his best game yet. Hopefully that built some confidence in him. And we'll see this weekend if that's the case. But, yeah, look, so Alabama's allowed some sacks. I want to say I saw a number almost like 15% of their dropbacks are sacks. Like, that's a very ugly number, right? So we're going to have to improve in that category in this football game when you're going against a talented front that Texas A&M has. They have a lot of star power, a lot of guys, but they also have a lot of depth. They play a lot of guys, right? And then the way they play, they're aggressive. They penetrate. They use a lot of movements, a lot of stunts. They throw a lot at you. So this is going to be a big challenge, and I'm looking at that matchup, right? How will our offensive line hold up? We've seen the progress that the offensive line made. It started, in my opinion, they did some good things in the first quarter against Texas. Spread out throughout the game, they did a few good things. USF struggled heavily in the first half. Second half, they finally kind of found their niche really in the fourth quarter, started running the ball effectively, getting some good movement as they should have, right? Then we saw Ole Miss. They started putting it together again. First half, it wasn't pretty at least, but the second half did some good stuff. Last week, I thought they ran the ball very well. I want to say we had upwards of 200 yards or just over 200 yards rushing.
I think it's 193.
190 something. Yeah. So, I mean, another good job on the ground. And that's what we need to be. That's the identity of this team. You got all those my dad calls them big butts. All right. I don't know how I feel about that, but the big boys up front, right? That you got to use it to your advantage somehow. If you're going to struggle with movement in pass pro, you got to be good in another area. And that should be the run game. So I think that's going to be key. But it's not going to be easy because Texas A&M, their defensive line and their front seven has the number one sack rate in the FBS. Back-to-back weeks with 7 sacks. They had 7 sacks last week against Arkansas, 7 sacks the week prior when they faced Ole Miss. So that's going to be a challenge. The offensive line is going to have their hands full. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we decide to use 6-man, 7-man protection to help these guys out. Keep a tight end in there, keep a back in there. We'll see if we get some chips, right? I'd imagine we're going to try to do a lot of quick throws. That's one way to neutralize a very effective pass rush is to do quick throws and screens. So I imagine we'll see that. But then also they have the second most tackles for loss in FBS. So very talented front seven that Texas A&M has. Again, Alabama's offensive line is a very talented group, but they've struggled, right? We've seen that. So I'm looking at that matchup. That's one thing I'm definitely going to look at. I already mentioned it, seeing if we can take that poise and composure that we had last week in Mississippi State, see if we can carry that over, see if we can carry over the turnovers that we forced. I think the turnover battle is going to be key. When I look at this football game, I look at it like this. I think it's going to be battle of the defenses, right? I think A&M's offense is good. It's pro-style offense. You got Petrino, right? I think they're effective. They run the ball pretty well. They throw the ball pretty well. They're very balanced, right? But they have really good skill guys. You got Anai Smith, who we've heard him, very outspoken this week. They got what's the other guy? What's his name? Can't think of it right now. Somebody in the comments is it Stewart? Evan Stewart, right?
Wide receiver Stewart, yeah.
Yeah, wide receiver, and they got another big target. They've got talent on the perimeter, and so I like.
Yeah, they bought the best recruits money could buy a couple of years, especially the defensive linemen. They paid a lot 100%. Of money for those dudes. So yeah, it has to come to fruition.
Yeah, and it is. But so, and I say all that to say this. So they've got a solid offense, but we have on the verge of being an elite defense, right? I look at their defense. I think they're on the same path. I think this game is going to be a battle of the defenses, in my opinion. So I think the turnover battle is going to be huge. Which offense can protect the football? Which offensive line can protect the quarterback? Right? Help him have time to throw the football, not have air throws because they have people in their face, pressure coming at them, right? I think it's going to be all about the defense in this game. Alabama obviously has a great defense. They have a good defense. I think that's what it's going to come down to, that and special teams. So this is an exciting one, right? And so
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this matchup? I know I just said a whole bunch.
Well, no, that's good. That's good. First of all, it wasn't Ole Miss. To just correct you, they played Auburn, the one you before
Yeah,
Arkansas.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Auburn
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So that's why I heard you say Ole Miss, and I just want to make sure people
Thank
know
you.
that that was the Auburn Tigers. But let's look at okay. They here we go. New Mexico. All right, 52-10. Miami
Mhm.
of Florida, 48-33. They lose by a couple of touchdowns. They played Monroe, Louisiana Monroe, 48. No, sorry, 47-3. Then Auburn, 27-10. And then Arkansas last week, 34-22. Now, they are talented. I've watched the tape. I went back. I looked at this defensive line that everybody in America are raving about, and they're good. They're big. They got big tackles, good size, big, strong, physical guys, interior. They got defensive ends that are good pass rushers that set the edge, that get up the field. And on top of that, DJ Durkin is going to bring pressure with his linebackers. He's going to bring pressure with this, rover, safety, slots, whatever you want to call him, nickel guy. If you're in nickel, they like to bring it from the outside. They like to also do cross bucks and zone dogs where they bring inside guys, drop out the outside guy. They do a lot of exotic things in their defense, which means they're going to force Alabama's offensive line to move. They slant a lot, right? Which means when I talk about slant could be just we slant strong, we slant weak. They identify the strong and or weak side, and that means those guys are slanting inside, tackle inside in sometimes, and they'll bring the linebacker off the outside to be the contain guy, to be the contain rusher. They do a lot of different things, which means as an offensive line, first of all, there's got to be great communication, right? They got to communicate very, very good because to pass those guys off. Can't get locked on a guy, and then now you got a free rusher that's going to go hit Milrose. So they got to be solid. Communication has to be good. Snaps got to be good because Texas A&M, what they do, they're going to apply the pressure. They're going to dictate pretty much what you do, right? They want to impose their will on the offense. And so Alabama's offensive line has to be ready for that. And I'm sure they practice the stuff. I mean, they got all the tape. They got all the percentages, because just so you know, to take you into the game plan, analysts and all these other folks are breaking down every piece of evidence and tape that they can find. These players are going to be so equipped and rehearsed into what the other team does, right? You're going to know what's this percentage on 1st and 10 versus running pass. If they're in this formation, running pass, 2nd and 7, 2nd and long, 3rd and short yardage goal line, you name it. They get information that tells everything that this team does. So you should be equipped, right? If you study your playbook, if you understand the game and know what you're doing, it helps you play faster because you can anticipate what the other team is doing. So they should be aware because you go watch the tape just like we do. You can see certain formations, they like to bring pressure. Certain down and distance, they like to bring pressure, or they're going to play zone in this circumstance or this situation. So that's what goes into the week of game plan. So now you try to put in things that's going to offset what they do. And I don't know what Tommy Reese is going to do offensively. We talk about, quarterback runs. I talk about attacking the perimeter more with Jalen Milroe or ending arounds or pop passes. Or, I talk about tunnel screens where the receivers go with a stack on the outside of the receivers, motion the guy in. There you go. Boom. Send out that offensive tackle to block that nickel guy or whomever that is out there and get you guys getting north and south. This quick passing game. If anytime you got aggressive defense, right? Offensively, how do you offset that? Quick passing game, hard counts, tempo, You got to do things to get them off their game, get them off of what they're doing, right? That's why these pop passes, screen passes, if they're bringing pressure up the middle, let that back slide in there, pop that back, and then turn right around, boom. You got all this green grass to run. So I'm looking at Tommy Rees. I know it's the offensive coordinator, whomever it is, whatever team it is. In this case, it's Alabama. I think has to be sharp in how he's calling this game. Because the number one thing that you can't do is get play behind the sticks. You can't just try to be so basic and run the ball right up the middle where they're sending double A blitzes with their backers and getting tackled for losses. Now you're 2nd and 12. Now you're pretty predictable. You're pretty obvious because most teams, if you did a study, 2nd and 12 going to probably more pass, right? That's more of a passing down. Now you don't want these guys to pin their ears back and don't have to worry about run. They're just trying to get to the quarterback. That will be a long day for this offense. So another big key for me is winning on first down. Okay, get your number 2 pencils out, folks. Get your paper, get your pads, your legal pads, and write this down. Win first down. They got to win first down. And I don't think you're going to win it just saying, hey, we're going to just run the ball. I think you got to use swing passes. You got to use those pop passes, ending around, things like that to get to the perimeter of this defense. You got to get 4 or 5 yards, keep it second and medium. Now you're a 50-50 deal on 2nd down. Right now that opens up your playbook a little bit more. Now you can run, and now you want to try to get the 3rd and shorts. Now you want to use that big, massive offensive line to lay on their defense. So this is how critical you play this game of chess when it pertains to football. So on the road, loud, you talked about that, the Yale leaders, the cannons being shot, and whatever else they got going on there at Cowfield and College Station. Right? You got to be able to get the ball, get the snaps, hear checks at the line of scrimmage. You're in the shotgun 98% of the time, so that's a little difficult because we've already had problems snapping the ball. That concerns me a little bit. The guy's got a broken hand and all that stuff, so I don't know. But you got to win on first down. Win on first down. Be effective on first down so that you're not playing behind the chains. If Alabama can do that and stay ahead of the chains, they'll eventually impose their will running the football. And if they want to stack the box, if they want to walk down a safety, they want to put 8 people in the box. When I say the box, meaning, from the D-line to linebackers, in that area we like to call the box. Right, that safety comes down. If they want to do all that to stop the run, I like Jalen Miro chances. We got Burton's going to play. He's healthy. We'll talk about the injuries here in just a moment. I think Jalen Hale is a guy that we might see getting in there. Benson, we got to get Brooks going 7. I mean, Alabama has players on the outside that can win. We just got to create offense to get them the ball. We always talking about guys can't separate. A lot of times Christian people say separate and they think just running past somebody. No, separating your route running, right? Judy, Calvin, really, these guys were the best route runners that I've seen. I mean, they can stick their foot in the gun, hit, come out those breaks. They get that little bit of separation, and that's all you need when you're talking about high-level football for a quarterback to stick things in there. So win first down. They got to keep Jalen upright. Jalen had to be more precise and efficient, or I should say decisive with the football, because you can go back and watch the tape where he could have just ran for 50 yards, and he just sat back there. He can't take these sacks like that. He's got to be more quicker, processing the information, seeing, trust his eyes. Trust his eyes, and if it's not there, hey, use that 4.35 and get the roller, right? Don't force anything. And not to make this game too big. That's my other point, because he is from Texas, from Katy, Texas, which I know very well. My wife's family all live in the Houston area around that. He's from Katy, Texas, which is not far from a College Station. So he's going to sure have family. Everybody's there. He can't feel like he needs to be the hero. Don't try to just do your job. Let the game come to you, and we're going to be all right. I'm not concerned about the defense real quick. Not because I think they're going to dominate. I think they're challenged by Nia Smith from what he said. I think those corners, Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold and 13 and 2, these boys are going to come. Those are some dogs back there. Those are dogs back there. I'm not concerned. Deontay Lawson, again, we talk about injuries. He's expected to play as well, but I'm not worried if he didn't play because I have trust in those guys that Chris was just talking about. They played ball on the road against Mississippi State. Yeah, it's a better football team, but hey, Alabama is a great football team. I don't care what people say. This is a great football team that has great players, and they get better each and every week. So they just can't make mistakes. They can't give A&M these opportunities to keep the crowd in there. And I said earlier today on the show, I think, you got to just hold on for the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game. And then you'll have a chance to quiet the noise down. And them little dudes over there just be all that. They're gonna get a couple that sit down somewhere. So that's what Alabama has to do. But I like Alabama in this game. I like the fact that the confidence level is growing. I think Jalen Milroe is getting better. I think he'll process this information a lot faster. And for some reason, I want them to I hope Tommy Reese is watching me. Tommy Reese, I believe, is going to have an excellent game plan this week. Maybe they were just saving it for this big road game, not showing everything, but I think we're going to see some things differently. I think we're going to see them attack the perimeter of that defense. And I think we're going to see some pop passes and play action passes, some RPOs. And by the way, Jalen Milroe faced this team last year. He did something that Bryce Young didn't do a couple of years ago. He beat him. You say what you want to, but he had 3 touchdown passes. He won the game. You talk about the fumble and all that, but Milroe already beat A&M. He beat him at home last year. So I'm trusting I'm trusting that he's going to be ready to go. I'm trusting that this team is going to be prepared. I know they practiced Coach Saban with all this noise today, so they're prepared for all this crazy noise. They're used to it, and Alabama will roll. I'm just going to tell you now, I'm going to wait to give you no prediction of the score. I'm just going to tell you Alabama's going to win, and they're going to be in great position to win the West and getting back to hot Atlanta.
Good stuff. That was a lot, but good stuff. Adam, I'm sorry to keep you waiting because he definitely has a very.
But you got to get. I want to give him all a really deep picture of what even from the game.
No, for sure. I felt bad because Adam, who we might as well call this the Miller's Edge, presented by Adam, because he is so supportive. Adam,
I bet you can't pronounce your last name.
Lamparello.
That's what I was going to say. Lamparello.
Yeah. It's Lamparello. I mean, it's maybe Italian, Adam. I don't know, but look, Adam, thank you so much for your support as always, man. I mean, really, you kill it. And then don't forget, go to our website, themillersedge.com, and go to the contact part, and then give me your information so I can send you your hat. I'll even hook you up with a shirt, man. You're just so supportive of the show, man. I gotta show you our appreciation. So make sure you go do that. That way I can return the favor. But thanks so much, man. So let's get to your question. Adam says, hey, guys, love this show. I'm no expert, but if A&M stacks the box to force Milroe to beat them with his arm, shouldn't we have 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, more screens and slants and RPOs so that they can't focus on stopping the run? Well, Adam, that's a good point. And we talked a little bit about this on our show earlier because there was somebody who said he basically was saying, well, what's going to happen if Texas A&M just rushes 3 and drops 8? They're playing like a real cushion zone. That way, they force Milroe to throw the ball and make mistakes. And I said, well, honestly, that's actually the opposite. That would actually help Milroe out, believe it or not. And I know that's kind of hard to believe, but this is why. When you only rush 3, and I know Texas only rushed 3 and they got pressure, but typically when people rush 3, you have all day in the pocket. And when you have all day in the pocket, it doesn't matter how many people you drop. You can go back and watch how we defended Tennessee last year. We tried that, folks, and we still had Hendon Hooker threading the needle through all those zones and all those defenders. So what I'm getting at is when a quarterback has time to throw the football, it doesn't matter how many people you drop. All you have to do is find a window, right? Watch the NFL. Good quarterbacks, they just find a window. Receivers end up breaking their routes differently depending on the zone. They just find that spot, right? They'll run their route, but when the quarterback has time, they improvise and they find a spot and they just throw it through the window. And so with that being said, I think personally, especially given how A&M likes to play, Adam, they're going to bring pressure. And I hate to say this because I don't want to spill the beans on probably how you should defend Milroe. But if I'm a defensive coordinator facing a guy like Milroe, I'm bringing pressure. Why? Because you're making him to make you're forcing him to make quick decisions, which we've seen he's a little slow with his decision making. which is okay. He's improving, but bringing pressure is going to make him speed that up. And what happens when you're sped up and uncomfortable? It forces error throws and bad decisions. That's when guys become turnover prone. So, with that being said, that's how I see them doing that. But to answer your question, you said, couldn't we go into like 4 and 5 receiver sets, so pretty much 11 personnel or 10 personnel and go empty? That's not necessarily our style of play. I don't know how I feel about that either, though, because then that means if you're spread out like that, you're just going straight 5-0 protection, meaning just straight 5-man protection, right? And we know they have a good offensive line, or excuse me, they have a good defensive line. And so I don't see that necessarily being best. I will say you would go with the slants. That's a good one. RPOs, that's a good one. So quick pass, right? Get the ball out hot. And then when you know they're coming, if you can go ahead and design up or even check two, if you see they're in single high, right? You're going to have one-on-one on the outside. We've got the speed, right? We've got Isaiah Bond, Burton, Jalen Hale now we've seen. And especially Amari Niblack, you have to find a way to get him in the game and get some mismatches, right? He is a mismatch nightmare. I'm telling you right now, whether you have to get innovative or just straight line him up and just know that he's going to have a linebacker on him that can't cover him. Get him the football and find opportunities for him. But that's a good point. You got to expect them to load up against us, right? They know we like to run the football. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to load the box. So you got to be prepared to counter that. And that's why we think, the quick passes, whether slants, screens, get the ball out hot, get it behind them. And I wish I want to show you guys a play because there's an example of Jalen Milroe back in 2022, where they bring a little bit of pressure. We just run the RPO. We hit Burton on a quick slant, bounces off the defender. He scores a nice touchdown, right? Those type of plays I feel like would be very effective in this type of game. I saw my dad had his finger up like he was waiting for me to call on him to answer. So do you have something?
No, that's called the deacon. Mama I told you, learn. The deacon puts his finger up.
Like
anyway,
you sneaking into church? Or are you sneaking out? No, sneaking in.
Both, in and out. When you. But anyway, I was going to add to the point that if you go 3-man front, or if that's what you want to do, that's going to allow you to run the ball. First of all, so it's kind of backwards because if they want to do that, that's really going to open up run lanes, right?
Absolutely.
And three down linemen, and that's going to allow those linemen to get up on the second level of the defender. And with the backs that Alabama has, man, you're talking about 10, 12 yards. So we'd love for them to do that. If they do that, that's opening up that just opened up the gate for Alabama to run the ball all day long.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to be the opposite of this, Adam. They're going to bring pressure. And they know Alabama they're going to break down the film. And based on what they've seen, what you and I have seen, all right, the Alabama run game is probably 85% right up the A gap, B gaps. They run inside. And so they're going to bring those backers, I like to call, double bullets, double B gap blitzes, with the backers crashing on, filling up that gap, getting penetration, because these backs are not the shifty backs. Jace McClellan, they're not shifty dudes, right? So they're not make you miss type dudes. They're hammers. So this is why I maybe like even Justice Hayes in this game a little bit, who is quick, who can make people miss, who's still explosive, got great burst and vision. So, but anyway, if they go 3-man, do that, then that's going to open it up for Alabama to run the football. Now, if they want to bring pressure, Jalen got to see it. He had to be. Hopefully, he's been in the film room. He has to identify where it's coming from, and the receivers have to see it, because if we go back to the Texas game, remember that one interception? It wasn't on Jalen Milroe. That was on Burton, because the receiver has to see that safety cheek down, alert, and then he has to do what we call a hot route. So whatever route was called, you break that off, you do whatever, you give a signal to the quarterback and run a quick hitch, because you got one-on-one on the outside. So if you just, turn around and catch that hitch, make that guy miss, man, you running through the end zone.
Well, he's got to put that ball on the outside too. He threw that ball way too inside. But you're right though. If you watch the other camera angle from behind, you're right. If he would have broke that route off quicker, and it would have just been almost like a catch and throw. Oh yeah, I mean he probably would have made that.
Got to put on the outside. That's on Jalen. But I'm just saying the receivers have to be able to see these type of things too to help out the quarterback. And I think it all go hand in hand. But I think they're more advanced than what we've seen in the Texas game too. So hopefully, they can be able to do that. Everybody's nervous about that because we haven't seen Milroe really do it, passing the football like that. So I think they have to in a game like this. They're going to have to throw the ball, and I'm expecting this might be the best passing opportunity Milroe has. And I'm going to tell you this real quick, Christian, why. We talk about the front seven, but if you go back and look at the secondary, if a quarterback has time, like last week when Arkansas had time, throw it right over their head, right? KJ had opportunity to throw the ball. It was there. So that's why I'm saying that Jalen Milroe will have an opportunity to have some big throws and big plays in this game because the secondary of Texas A&M isn't that it's nothing to write home to mother about. They're not that good. This is why you probably see them being more of a pressure team to help because the best pass defense is everybody in the back of the room. Shout it. It's pass rush, right? So they got to create pressure to help the secondary out. And if we're able to block pressure, our receivers are going to win. And I'm expecting this offensive team of Alabama, this will be their best passing performance that we've seen all season long.
So basically, Adam, to summarize, the reason why you don't want to do the 4 or 5 receiver sets is just because when you have an offensive line that's already struggling, we saw them struggle against 3-man, it's just too risky, right? So for protection reasons, you wouldn't want to do that. Now you would, like you said, want to do the quick passes, but probably do out of 12 personnel. That way you can have 6-man protection, hell, even 7-man protection if you need it, because you still can hit those slants with the receivers behind that. But that's a great question. And I'll throw this out there too, Adam. I saw you said this. This would be cool for my dad. There's all these comments. So I'll just basically what he said. Adam said that he actually grew up going to Giants games in the '90s, and he complimented the defenses that you guys had. But you shared some of your tape recently on your Twitter. He said y'all had some great defenses, and he actually attended some of your football games with the Giants. So I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that's real cool. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, we my ear here so I can hear myself. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love that old video with John Madden and Pat Summerall on the call. Man, that brings back so many great memories. Playing alongside LT 3 years was a blessing, and he taught me so many things about pass rushing and just how to be the total outside backer where you didn't have to come off the field, in situations. Because back then we didn't see a lot of 4 and 5 wides. Third down, you saw 11 personnel, one tight end, one back. But other than that, it was pretty much 21 personnel, 12, 13, tight ends and fullbacks, and we call regular personnel. Yeah, that was fun, man. Giant Stadium was a lot of great times, man. Some cold games, like the playoff game against the Vikings. Coldest game I've ever played in, below zero. But hey, man, Big Blue Nation. They're not doing good right now. We always rep Big Blue Nation.
No doubt. And so, with that being said, back to A&M real quick. So when you watch them on tape, we talked about the defense, right? They're aggressive, they slam. We talked about the O-line. You said your opinion, the secondary is a little vulnerable to those deep shots. In my opinion, I think that's where we could really hit them. You got a guy like Jalen Milroe, who's very effective with that deep ball. I mean, if we can just establish that run game, and it's not going to be easy, right? But I'm not just going to sit there and just gas these guys up because I got confidence in our O-line. We've been making progress and improving, right? I mean, if you watch on tape, Tyler Booker was throwing guys out of the club last week, right? That's what we've been wanting to see. I've seen flashes of that from him and Latham on the other side, right? But I'm telling you,
throwing guys out the club.
Yeah, no white tees in the club, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was getting them out the club, right? So if we could just get that going in this game, I'll feel so much better. But I think you hit the nail on the head. And when you said don't get behind the chains, and so and he explained it well, but like he said, I mean, that's basically just saying you don't want to see yourself in 3rd and long over and over and over. For a couple of reasons. Number one, A&M has a really 3rd down rate with their defense. And part of that is because they're so exceptionally good at stopping the run and stopping plays in 1st and 2nd down and setting up 3rd and long. But number two, our offense is just not necessarily built for those 3rd and long situations, right? So I think it's key, like my dad said, it's going to be pivotal that they can get that chunk yardage, first, second down, set up that third and short because you don't want to be behind the chains. But I also don't think you want to be behind in this game at all, right? I don't think we're necessarily built as a come from behind team, right? So I said on the show earlier, I'm always going to be a proponent of finishing, right? Second half, fourth quarter, right? Playing 60 minutes. But this week, I think it's going to be a little bit different. This week, I think that first half is going to be critical, right? We have to come out swinging. We can't get behind in this game, right? And I'm not saying like, them outplaying us, but adjusting to that hostile environment, right? Like sometimes it takes, sometimes you got to get your feet underneath you, right? But we have to get that established as quick as possible. Because my biggest concern is if we, come out a little slow, it's hostile, and we're trying to find our niche, but it takes too long and we're getting behind in the game. I just don't like our chances when we go into a second half trying to come from behind like that. Just because our team is built to run the football, control the tempo of the game, have that time of possession, keep the ball away from them, and really just chop at the bit, right? Consistently, get points. And that's the other thing I think will be huge in this game is not settling for so many field goals, right? And I have to look at their stats and their red zone defense. But I feel like this year our red zone offense hasn't been up to par, right? We got to be able to punch things in for 6, right? We got to walk away with touchdowns more. We can't settle for so many field goals. It's a blessing that we have Will Reichard, but let's keep it to using him from 35 out, right? When we really just got to kick a field goal. When we're in that red zone area, we got to capitalize. We got to put enough points on the board, right? I'm not worried about our defense. I think we're going to handle business for the most part, right? And I'm sure they'll make their plays here and there. It's all you're playing a good football team. But I think that's going to be huge for our offense as well, as being able to score touchdowns when we're in that red zone, not settle for field goals. Because if you go back to the first few games, right, that was one of the areas that I really highlighted for our offense. Settling for way too many field goals, right? Whether it's the botch snap at the 1 yard line. I mean, there's multiple times in that Ole Miss game we just settled for field goals. We got to be able to punch things in. So I think that's going to be another key. But, man, a really, 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 really intriguing matchup. And I'll be honest, if Alabama can win this football game, I'm with you. I think this is the biggest challenge. I think you walk away confident. Now, I'm not saying get big-headed and take the rat poison and think, all right, everything's cool, we can coast. No. But if you win this football game against a talented Texas A&M team, I know they're unranked, but they're a good football team on the road. I'm feeling damn good about coming home playing Arkansas. I'm feeling good about playing Tennessee. And I'm feeling good about LSU, who everybody hyped up like they're going to be the next best thing, going into the season. You called it. You kept saying everybody was talking about SEC Media Day, LSU this, LSU that, Brian Kelly, Jaden Daniels. They're a good team, right? But I think if Alabama wins this football game, the West is theirs to claim. And from what I've seen from Georgia this year, the quarterback, he's a good player, but the defenses, they're good, but they just don't seem to really have it like they've had it in the past few years. I think if Alabama wins the West, I think they're beating Georgia in Atlanta, and they're right back in that call.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but boy, that's way down the road. But anyway,
it is. But I'm just saying, but just look at the steps this team has taken, and then look at what you've seen from other football teams. I'm not saying it's going to.
Now, if I'd have said that, you'd have pulled a whole Nick Saban disciple on me and be talking, we got to focus on what's. I mean,
it's true. You got to be where our feet are. I'm just saying. Look. You watch college football all over. You stay up and watch Pac-12 games. You're telling me out of all the teams you've seen, real quick. I mean, let's go off track for a second. Who are the best 4 teams in your eyes right now that you've seen and then match them up with Alabama, right?
I mean, I wouldn't. You said I wouldn't have Alabama in the top 4.
No. I'm just no.
I got to be honest. If I
I
based on what I've seen,
I'm saying who are your top 4 teams, but then I'm saying then let's compare those teams to how Alabama's playing and what you think Alabama can be going towards the end of the season when they're really hitting their stride and really getting things going. I'm just saying, I think that Alabama is a team that's on this trajectory. They're finding their niche. They're building their identity around Jalen Milroe, right? They're living and dying by Jalen Milroe, right? Rightfully so. He's the only guy that's truly prepared. We did a whole video on this if you guys are interested, because there's been a lot of talk still about the quarterback. So go check that out if you haven't. It's the truth about the quarterback situation. Give it a listen. It's a great video. We really just break down why Jalen Milroe is the guy for the job right now, and then and all the other good stuff on there. But anyway, your top 4 teams, and you guys can chime in the comments as well if you want. Who are your
through 5 weeks. Well, this would be 6 weeks. halfway through the season, basically. Guys, we're halfway through the college football regular season right now. Can you believe that? It was just like we were counting down the days, count down the kickoff. What I've seen right now, in no order, because I don't know if there's enough to separate a number one. I have to put Texas in there. They beat Alabama at home, which is tough to do, and they played well. I got to put Texas in there. Would be one of my top four. I can't put anybody right now in the SEC, not even Georgia there or Alabama. I can't put anybody there right now. I would put Washington, one of the best teams that I've seen, with Penix at quarterback. They will be in there as well. So that's two. I would put Penn State. I like what I'm seeing out of Penn State. And then there's a toss up between Ohio State. I have to probably give them the edge because Michigan hasn't played anybody. I like Michigan. I think they're going to be a good football team. But at least Ohio State has went on the road and got a big time win at Notre Dame. It was close. They should have lost, but they won the game. So those probably would be my four: Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, and Texas. And then at my next group of four would be Southern Cal. You got to put them in. They don't have a defense, but Caleb Williams is special. Michigan, you got to put them in there. Then I'll put Georgia in there. And I'm going to put Alabama in there because I think Alabama, just because they had that slip up early, it was a tough matchup for a young football team. Play them in week 2. Texas had a very mature football team, mature defensive line, going up against an offensive line that hadn't figured it out yet with a freshman tackle starting, a veteran quarterback. Alabama still didn't know at that point who their quarterback was. So I think they just caught Alabama at the right time. If they played Alabama again today, Alabama would beat them. I really believe that. So Alabama has beat a good Ole Miss team. Say what you want to. A team that they held to 10 points and then put 55 on LSU, right? So Ole Miss is Lane Kiffin's got a good team down there. So and going to Mississippi State is no easy task either. They're not a big time team, obviously, but just winning a game on the road. So I got Alabama in my top 8. That's where I'm at. So, but I don't know. There's still so much. Here's the thing, even though we kind of getting off script here, but transfer portal. I said this today with Kyle Bailey on WFNZ in Charlotte. My weekly visit there is that transfer portal has leveled the playing field. There's so much parity in college football. There's no one dominant team. I mean, back in the day, you used to say, well, Alabama and Ohio, they were so, that you watching players like they were so far ahead of everybody else, it wasn't even close. But this season, you can't say that. Just like Alabama, I think could win every single game left on this schedule. I think they could be 11-1 and beat Georgia probably or Kentucky. And they're going to have to go to Kentucky as well, by the way. If Kentucky the real deal and beat Georgia, then we're going to be talking about that matchup against Kentucky on the road. So about how this is going to be a big game. That's what I'm saying. There's so much left. It's so wide open. Like the SEC is so wide open. That's why, if Alabama can win this game, to me, it's the hardest road game or game period that they're going to have on the schedule for the rest of the way. And I think they're going to out-athlete to be better than everybody else. LSU don't have a defense. Offense, phenomenal. But they get them at home. Arkansas are not good at all right now. They want to fire their coach. Sam Pittman is in trouble. Right? You get them at home. Tennessee with Joe Milton, they're not nowhere near who they were last year. They get them at home. Alabama should smoke them, right? Going to Kentucky, normally, that's not a hostile environment at a basketball school, but they are solid. They got a transfer quarterback from NC State. O'Leary, I believe is his name. They got a transfer running back, transfer receiver. They like to play big boy football. I like that matchup with Alabama to win that easily too. So this, to me, is the most dangerous game because it's on the road. If this game was in Tuscaloosa, I wouldn't even question Alabama winning. But we know how hostile the crowd and, this still is a young team and how they're going to handle the crowd, so you always look at that. But listen, Alabama is right where they need to be. You always said it. I said every goal is attainable. Everything is right there in front of them. Everybody can say, well, it's not the same team. We get so caught up in the comparing 14 and 15 and 17 and 20 and, this team is not like this team and that. It's not. Just stop comparing. These are different kids. It's a different game. So you can't compare these teams. Every team is different every single year, and coaches have to figure out who they are. And when you got such young players, you got so much talent. Talking to some folks yesterday, that I know, and they agree with me. This is a lot of talent on this team, a lot of talent that just haven't come out yet, but it's going to come out. And Alabama, to me, if they get this win, is a scary team going forward because they are loaded. They got players that's getting better, that's maturing, that's probably going to get snaps down the road that you haven't seen yet. So I feel confident in that. But I'm just saying, I agree with you, but there's so much football left to be played. It's hard, if it turns out the way you say, I agree with you. Alabama will beat Georgia or Kentucky or Tennessee, whomever is going to be out the East, or Missouri, by the way, that we ain't talking about because they're undefeated too. I mean, I don't know.
It's crazy how all these teams all of a sudden, like you said, whether it's transfer portal and whatever, there is so much more parity. I'll be honest, I kind of like it, right? It's really spicing things up. And I think that's why going into the 12-team playoff next year is going to be fun because there's going to be a whole bunch of teams that didn't used to get these opportunities, right? I mean, I played in 4 straight national championship games, I guess 5 straight college football playoffs. So I was fortunate. So now these other guys get to see what that's like. So I think it's fun, man. I'm excited for it. But sticking on, we'll go back to Alabama, Texas A&M, right? Let's look at this real quick. So we already set the keys on, for the offense. So it's kind of clear. But defensively, is there anything that stands out to you? I know we talked about the pro-style offense. It's their backup quarterback with Max Johnson, right? Good player. He's not an elite quarterback or anything, but he can make some nice throws. I think he's turnover prone. We saw that against Arkansas. He fumbled the ball. He threw a pick six, to basically it was either a screen or a little flare out. I don't know, but it was a pick six that opened up second half. So with that being said, is there anything that sticks out to you? I mean, I think I love – so I will say this. A&M, their offense line is pretty good. I think they've only allowed 6 sacks maybe this entire season. So that's a matchup I'm going to be looking at. I'm fully confident in Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, even the interior guys that have been coming along, both Timms, Smith, and Keenan. Even seen some young guys getting some action. So I think, we're going to get after the quarterback. I think that's going to be big. The biggest thing on defense, man, we've been playing so well, except we're not consistent when it comes to stopping the run, right? Now, I know we gave up those explosive plays against Texas. That's going to be big, right? We got to eliminate explosive plays in the secondary, but we also had to help out. We didn't get enough pass rush either, so we didn't help those secondary guys out. But we have to stop the run more consistent. How do we do that? I think our biggest issue is we're not getting off blocks. I talked about this, I believe, on the post-game show. We're not, you got to disengage, right? So at Alabama, I always talk, we're like we play gaps. We dominate a guy, right? We're responsible for a gap. We're not necessarily more of a penetrating front. So with that being said, you got to jack that guy up. You got to be gap disciplined, but you got to disengage and get off. You got to shed that guy. You can't expect everybody else to make the play. Just because you're in your gap and you're doing your job, that's not necessarily enough. Now you got to make a play. And so I want to see more of that from our defense, which I'm sure we will. But then better angles sometimes to the football. And just, I think it will help. Sometimes I see our secondary, when they're coming down and run support, they're a little hesitant. They're kind of catching a guy. You got to, if you're going to be playing safety, and you got to really come up and hit in that run fit, right? Like you see some of those NFL guys, they're flying in there like missiles. Like Minka, if you ever watched Minka, and I hate the injury that happened to Nick Chubb, but if you see his pursuit and it's how he puts his foot in the ground and he's coming up and playing the run, you can't wait and catch guys. So that's the other thing. But moral of the story is, I think defensively we just have to stop the run, right? I think our secondary has been doing a great job. Our pass rush is really coming along. Yeah. The only thing I'm not worried about that. Our defense, and we've been forcing turnovers, which is huge. I think we've got 7 interceptions through 5 games, same amount.
Right, we only had 7 last year total.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm loving everything on the defense, except I think we need to be more consistent at stopping the run. But I'll pass it to you. Anything?
Listen, last week Coach Saban talked about this. Mm-hmm. They were preparing for passing from Mississippi State and weren't in the best position to stop the run. So a
That's
lot of
fair.
those runs they popped last week was more about calls. I mean, so
Well,
I'm
I mean,
not too worried because
some
I
of
thought
it,
we stopped
maybe
running against
some of
Texas.
it.
Texas had a couple of good runs, but for the most part, Alabama shut Texas down in the run game. They
Well,
got a
hey, I
couple,
know you don't like
late.
numbers, but I'm gonna pull. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the Alabama's run
All right,
defense. That'll
let's do it. Go for it.
all right. All right. Let's see. Russian defense. So we're gonna start nationally. All right. Alabama is okay. Texas A&M is ranked 20th for their Russian defense.
We're like 30 something.
Alabama is 36th, right? And if you want to get more specific, we're allowing 3.26 yards per rush. For comparison, Georgia's at just shy of 4 yards at 397. And I'll give you all a reference. We used to when I was there, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like we used to the whole guys under. It definitely was under like 3. It might have been like under 3.3 yards to carry or something like that. So looks like they're in the
They're right
right
there.
spot. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm not.
good.
They're not. They're fine. I mean, and if we go by these numbers, I looked at them yesterday too.
Hey, it's
NCAA.com
just good to look at. I know
stats.
you hate it. I get it. I know.
Listen, some of them will be like a 0.1 different than from 36 to 18. I mean, 'cause there's so many teams.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can include that though, but it still paints.
Part
Look,
of the story.
I like stats for almost like research purposes. I'm not a stats guy when it comes to playing football. I'm not one of those guys that does the whole analytics thing, right? That's why in Carolina the whole stuff that they started doing with Matt Rule was everything was analytics. It was almost like they were running a computer program for us to play, like they were simulating the game, right? I'm not into that crap.
No good.
Exactly. I'm into just going out there and playing football, right? Letting your pads and helmet play football, traditional football. I just like numbers when you look at stuff because it does tell you. Because even at Alabama, we're not analytics driven, but we always go back and look at how well we're doing based off of what we're allowing. So I think that's where it comes from for me. I don't know if y'all even looked at numbers back in the day when you were with the Giants. So y'all probably didn't care about that crap, did you? Did y'all look at analytics and numbers or stats? Did y'all pay attention to how many yards per
Bill
per
Parcells, I say it all the time. I said it's on the middle's edge on the Tide. Stats are for losers. I mean,
come on,
everybody
man.
stat. Listen. It tells part of the story, but it doesn't tell the entire story. I mean, even Alabama, we go take away a couple of big quarterback runs, which count, right? Which count in rush offense, like South Florida. Right, those are added in there. Those are not really rush defense. I mean, rush offense is a breakdown in the pass defense, a breakdown in pass rush. So two things can be true at the same time. But I just don't get caught up in all that. Just like last couple of games, and then I went back and watched. I mean, people look at the stats like these. I'm looking at the college football nerds, I believe it is right here. These are analytic. They go look at all these numbers. And they'll try to give you a breakdown. Why? I mean, I don't listen. I mean, I read it, but it's like, and here he says, well, Alabama's favorite, but probably shouldn't be. A&M's weakness so far as pass defense. But we already told you that, not because I looked at the stats. I told you that Texas A&M's pass defense is bad because I watch how they play.
Right.
I don't care what the stats say. Big guy in the sky don't lie. I mean, Alabama's pass protection.
You can use both. You can. That's what I do. Look,
I judge by. I go by what I see.
Tape, but then I look at the numbers too.
Alabama's pass protection has improved, but Miro's processing is slow. Really, I mean, did we already say that? Did I need to see a stat to tell me that? No, I know football, and I'll tell you what I see. He often bails clean protection, walking to drive, killing sacks. Like this one, and he showed one against Mississippi State and then this is a rollout. I mean, the guy had to roll out, but then you look at this tape, where's he going to go? Pressure's up the field, right? No, coming right up the middle, so he tried to escape right, and McLaughlin, no, that's Oos. Oos doesn't block his guy. If he blocks his guy, he's got room to throw. That's not really on Milroe. It's on the guy that's supposed to be protected. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. These guys just say stuff. And I like the fact that at least he identified that he is a nerd.
Okay, I mean, stop picking on guys. Look, man, look, look. If they enjoy numbers, they enjoy numbers. I'm with you. I tape over all the other numbers.
I'm just saying.
Look, no, because I remember when I was coming out, and I remember when I was coming out for the draft, right? I would see all these numbers and I'd be like, man, like half the time I think it was dumb. But then there were some that actually worked in my favor that I didn't even know. It'd be like, I was like top 5 in the country for pressure generated rate, or I don't, all these stats. So I was like, oh, that's great. Then there's other stuff. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Right. But I'm with you. The tape, I'll go tape, then these numbers. But that's why I work with both of them. But
Okay.
real quick though. So I don't want to get copyrighted, so we can't show. I'm not going to play the video, but this will at least give us like a visual. This is an example. This is what I think would be effective, and it's going back to what Adam was talking about. They're bringing pressure. This is why I think like those RPOs. We used to run them all the time, whether it was with Tua or even Mac Jones or Bryce. I mean, y'all not remember hitting, Calvin or Judy or all those guys in those quick slants, Waddle. They just turn it upfield for touchdowns like it was nothing. So Milroe had one against Texas A&M last year when he started. I'm gonna pull this up real quick, and I'm just gonna show the picture because I don't want to get copyrighted. It sucks that we can't do it. If anybody has any ideas on how we can do that without getting,
gotta do your research.
Yeah. I'm trust me, I'm trying, but I'm asking the folks. So if you guys know how we can basically do reactions and play the videos without getting copyrighted, let me know. Does everybody have that? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
All right. So this was an RPO right here, right? And so you look at it, they're somewhat bringing pressure out. I mean, I wish I could just play the play, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technically. I mean, this guy's coming down, right? We got a legal guy downfield somewhat, right? But look, so I'm assuming we brought pressure right here, right? And look what you have right there, right behind these guys that are being sucked up on the run. Wide open receiver on the slant, right behind him. And then Burton ends up, the moral of the story is Burton ends up breaking the tackle and scoring a touchdown.
So you got about 3 guys open. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. And that's the result right there. The end zone. That's the result. So start it here. That's the result. Right. And I'm not saying you just do that every time, but I would love to see those worked in, because what else do you have? So if they're not necessarily, if Jalen reads it right and he's reading that end when it's an RPO and that end is crashing down, he can also pull the football. I mean, the guy runs a 4.4, right? I like his odds if that end crashes down and he's one-on-one, whether it's a safety or linebacker, whoever's responsible for him, if the end's not, I like those odds in that situation. So I think that'd be a great game plan. And that's just going back to Adam's point about if they're bringing pressure, these are the type of things, those quick throws, quick slants. I mean, you can have crossing routes, meshes, whatever you have to do just to get the ball out hot when they are bringing that type of pressure. But
do you think that lineman right there probably just tried to slide down because he thought he was close to being a legal man down the field?
Oh, you mean he just dropped because he didn't want to get caught?
Yeah,
he stopped, dropped, and rolled because he didn't want to get a flag. That would be smart. Yeah. I mean, that's my only thing about RPOs, man, is the illegal man downfield. And I don't know how they necessarily dictate it, because there's times I watch offenses run the RPO and they got 2, 3 guys 4 or 5 yards down the field and there's no flag. Then others, and it is always, if you notice, they always tend to call it. Chad, let me know if you think this too. They always call the flag when it's a big play. If it's a touchdown, there's a guy downfield, they're going to call it. If it's just something basic, I feel like they don't ever hardly call it. I hate when refs do that. They make decisions based on the outcome of a game. Cough, cough. Tennessee game with Kool-Aid's pick. But that's another story for a different day. Man, it's tragic.
That's a good picture, though.
Yeah. But anyway, now I'll try to find some more, and we can go back to it. I'll try to find some more stuff like that. But real quick, we've got a super chat from Kelly. She said, don't have a question, don't need anything. Just wanted to say thank you, Corey and Christian, for taking time to share your time and great context every week. You are appreciated. Roll Tide, roll. Kelly, thank you. You are appreciated for your support with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. That helps us out, getting more content to you guys, making it even better, trying to implement new things. I mean, again, and if you have any suggestions for us, let us know. We'd love to have your input on what we can do that you guys would enjoy from a content perspective. But we appreciate everybody so much, especially the gifters like Kelly and Adam and everybody else who's gifted, and everybody who's just in here supporting. Means a lot. But Kelly, you've always shown up. I'm pretty sure you're always active with our social media as well. So thank you so much for supporting us on all platforms and here tonight with your super chat for $9.99. Kelly, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Beautifully. Thank you. Appreciate everything. Lord bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely. But yeah, let us know if you guys have any other suggestions, because I definitely want to get some more tape on here. But you got any other thoughts? I'm going to try to find some more clips real quick that I can find some.
No, I just want to say, again, we threw out a keys and everything already. A couple dudes notes while you're doing that. Deontay Lawson looks like he's going to play in this ball game. He had an ankle sprain.
Where'd you see that at?
X, read all about it.
Well, I mean, I saw that he's
Coach
going to be a
Saban,
game time. I saw he's going to be a game time decision. If
well,
I'm being
the
honest
word
with you,
on X is
I don't know. I'm
like he's going
skeptical
to
of the
play.
play. He might.
He got into practice a little bit based on these folks. So look like he may be available, may not know how many snaps or
Well,
if
let me
any.
ask you this though. Given how Jahad Campbell stepped in his spot last week and how effective he was leading the team in tackles, coming up with the interception, he was flying around, making plays. A guy that was an edge rusher in high school, so he's very mobile, rangy. He can do a lot of different things for you. If Deontay Lawson is 70, 80%, do you try to put him back in the lineup, or do you just let Jahad Campbell keep doing his thing until Deontay's fully ready?
I want my best player on the field. Give me what you can as long as you can. I mean, if there's no risk for being further, damaged or whatnot, and Jeff Allen and that staff better than anybody, they're not going to put him out there if he's not capable of going. And
No,
they're not going to put him out there if, in fact,
you can go. They'll let you go,
he's
but that
going to
doesn't
be
mean
a
you're
liability.
100%, though. That doesn't mean you're 100%, though.
Right. But nobody is. If it was football, nobody is. The other thing is, listen.
That's true.
So the rumors, again, that song.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna try to play it for you real quick.
Wait. No. We'll get copyrighted. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
I
that.
can't even just play it.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm glad you
Look
brought that
at
up.
all these rumors
I forgot to address
surrounding-
that. You can sing
So
it,
anyway,
though.
no, I'm done. So bottom line is Jalen Milroe does not, in all caps, does not have a hamstring injury. Okay. Just know that to be fact. That's all you need to know. I don't need to say my sources. I don't need to say just he doesn't have a hamstring injury. He's going to be fine. And so, where do these people get this stuff from? I just
know. I don't know.
But Milroe should be good to go. Nothing wrong with his legs, hamstring, knee, ankle, pinky toe. Unless it happened today, but he should be good to go. Lawson, they're reporting, let me just say it right. They're reporting that he will be available. Now, whether he starts.
Game time decision. I'll be honest. I'm skeptical, but you're right.
I'm just saying there's reports out there. Not me. I'm saying the reports are saying Deontay Lawson will be available as well as Burton, the receiver. We kept watching last week. I don't know if many of you paid any attention to it because we only threw the ball 12 times. Burton was on the sidelines just chilling, but apparently he's been banged up a little bit, but it's going to be available based on reports, numerous reports. I can't cite one person, but based on numerous reports, Burton, Deontay Lawson, and Ferguson, I believe, the offensive line, it's going to be also ready to go. Now, Nick Saban was asked by the guest media guy, who was his great friend, Mr. Spann, the weather guy, asked Nick Saban about all the stuff people were saying about Milroe. He said he is not on social media. He hadn't heard nothing about that, but decided not to say anything about the injury or the so-called hoax that's out there about Jalen Milroe. But and that was at Hey Coach tonight. So I think Alabama, from an injury standpoint, should be in pretty good shape in this ball game. At least we hope so. Time will tell us in probably less than 48 hours of this. So we'll see. But it drives me nuts that these people will post stuff about injuries, about athletes, and that have no idea. But
I'm with you on the where does it come from though?
I don't know.
It's just random. I'm just saying, I mean that's not the case, and I don't know. But you're
it's not the case. He has a hamstring.
No, it's not. But you mentioned Hey Coach, and so a couple of things that he said tonight on Hey Coach. He talked about him being a little laid back. He said, "I've been a little laid back, and at times it's been hard to bite my tongue relative to some of the things that we've done to not just shoot ourselves in the foot, but shoot our foot off." And which we have, we've really beaten ourselves, in some of the games early on. But, again, everything's still on the table. We're good. Not just shoot our foot, but shoot our foot off. And so I got a lecture from Miss Terry about why you don't Why don't you show a little more intensity? You said it, you sang it, right? Thank you, Miss Terry. Because I'll be honest with you, I think that was huge. I thought that was critical last week. His energy, his fire, him, getting on the guys, not just guys, but coaches. It looked like he was getting on coaches in the headset. I'm just saying, man, Alabama was playing some good football, and it just happened to be, he's starting to coach hard again. So thank you, Miss Terry, for that. I think it played a big role in it. I was one of those guys. I got my fair share of chewings from Coach Saban. It is what it is. If you guys haven't heard it, Terrion Arnold was asked about it. Phenomenal response. Basically said, you have to hear what he's saying, but don't listen to how he's saying it, but listen to what he's saying, right? And I thought that was so impressive. It displayed his maturity. It showed that he wants to be coached. It doesn't matter how he's being coached. He wants the coaching, and that's what, in my opinion, has probably made him a much better football player this season. I feel like he's playing his best ball, and that's probably why, right? If you can respond to coaching in that way, that means you have the right attitude. That means you have the right mentality. And I think we need a bunch of other guys with that mentality, because if we had a whole bunch of guys with Terrion's mentality that want to be coached hard, that want to go out there and play football, play physical like Terrion's playing, play fast, have fun, I mean, we would have a really good football team, which we do. And so as long as we keep getting guys with that mentality, we're going to be in good shape. But Coach Saban also mentioned tonight on Hey Coach, he talked about Caden Proctor playing arguably his best game. He thought it was a very challenging front that Mississippi State had, especially with their system and scheme, but he thought he handled it the best that he had all year. And so hopefully that'll instill some confidence in him moving forward. And he talked about the challenge that awaits him this weekend. He said, this is the kind of challenge that defines who you are as a competitor, a player, a person. You should embrace that and those kinds of challenges when you play against really good players like this. And he's right.
Yeah.
They have a good football team. It's going to be a challenge. But again, that's why I said, like, when you come to Alabama, you expect that. And that's why I think we have to get back to this mentality. I talked about it on our show earlier. It's just so foreign to me doing media and hearing, like, okay, we're up to play A&M, and everybody's like, oh, man, I'm nervous. We got A&M this week. Not because it's A&M, just because when I was playing here, like, we didn't give a dang who it was, right? I mean, we could have been playing the Dallas Cowboys. We had a mindset, like, when we go play, folks, we travel. It's a business trip, right? We lock the gates on our opponents, and we have it our way. We don't care about the stadium, the venue, the time, the place, who it is. We didn't go and talk about it in the media. We just went and took care of business, right? I mentioned earlier, LSU, back in 2018, my senior year. All the hype around that game, Odell, Shaq, all these celebrities on the sideline. You got their fans trying to get on our bus, hostile, people flicking us off, all type of stuff. The stadium was roaring. Kickoff comes, the kickoff team, LSU, they're pumping up the student section. It's rowdy. We liked it. We fed off of that, right? Like, we didn't go in like, oh, man, we got a big matchup. Man, no, it was quite the opposite. We called it, again, I don't condone any type of foolishness like this, but we called it a home invasion. We're walk in their trap and take over their trap, right? If you guys know, you know. That was the approach we had. And we had fun doing it, man. Like, but like we took pride in that. And so just so weird to me hearing, like, oh, man. And I know I contribute a little bit, because I admit these places are hard to play in, but with the right mentality and attitude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got to go out there and you got to be the hunter. You got to be the aggressor. It doesn't matter who you're playing or where you're playing. If it's their place, your place, you got to have that same energy and intensity and mentality every week, especially when you go travel and play a good football team on the road. And so I'm hoping we can get back that. I get why people kind of have the concerns and anxieties of us on the road, because the past couple of years, it hasn't looked like what I'm describing. When we went to LSU and we locked the gates on them in Baton Rouge and would give them goose eggs in their own home and stadium, right? It doesn't necessarily look like that. It hadn't really looked like that past couple of years.
Well, you have to have confidence to do that. Yeah, you have to know that you're a great football team. You got to know that, hey, we are that stuff, right? And I like to call it moxie. You can call it moxie. You got to have a level of cockiness and confidence to go in someone's backyard in this back stadium and say, bring it. I always like going on the road. I enjoy the fans, yelling and screaming. And, I was with Minnesota and went to Green Bay, and we would get mooned as the bus showed by. People actually pulling their pants down, mooning us. We're laughing on the bus, but, they ain't going to be doing that in a little bit, right? They give you the attitude. We're gonna have something to say about that. So it's all fun. That's why the SEC is the SEC. it just means more because you play in stadiums that are packed and the fans are passionate and awesome, and that's what makes it fun. But it's great when you can go there and win, and being able to get in that victory formation and early in the fourth quarter, seeing people exit the building. That's what it's about. That should give you that energy to go take people out on the road. So again, I like Alabama. I like what they're doing. I like the progression, the trajectory, as you said. I like what Jalen Milroe is doing. I thought even though they didn't throw it a ton of times last week, I liked his poise in the pocket. He made some great short intermediate throws. Heck, that throw to Nye Black in the end zone was a touchdown. Honestly, that was a beautiful throw.
They should have reviewed that.
That should have, and that was a touchdown. So this young man has amazing potential. The offensive line is getting better. I think Proctor is getting more comfortable. He's playing more physical. The offensive line as a whole playing more physical. And they're going to cut down on the sacks. They're going to cut down on the mistakes. The defense has been the thing that's been carrying them a little bit till they get things right, right? So I think, this is just the first half of the season. But now you want to be better the second half. And there's an old saying that I like to use, and I preach about it as it pertains to life and everything else. It's not how you start your life, it's how you finish. It's just the slow pace wins the race sometimes. So there's people that get shot at the cannon and start fast, and then, you sit in track, and that monkey going to jump on the dude's back or her back. It's like, and that person just steady, just keeps coming and coming and coming, ends up winning the race. And that's what I say about Alabama and this team right now. It's like they moving, maybe slowly, more slowly than we want to see, but they're moving in the right direction. That's what the tide does, right? The tide is not a big shift, a big change, very fast. It's a slow moving change as it comes in. And that tide is coming in. That tide is changing. That tide is going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to wash away everything that's in the way. It's going to drown it. And that's what this football team is getting ready to do. I believe that. I think that, seeing Coach Saban, Miss Terry getting in action, because Miss Terry knew. What is Nick doing? You can't let these kids get away with these mistakes. You can't sit there with your arms crossed and just walk around and say going up down the sideline with the cup. Now, I want you to throw and break some headsets. Our grandkids, we explain to them later. It's just like, I know they don't want to see. I don't know. I wonder what his grandkids call him. Like my granddaughter calls me Pop Pop. I don't know what they call Nick Saban, but for the sake of this conversation, it is what it is. Pop Pop needs to get mad, angry, throw headsets, because he knows who he can coach hard. He knows who he can cuss at. Terry Arnold is that guy that said, "Hey man, I'm built for this." Basically, ain't how he says it, it's what he's saying. I'm taking what he's saying and I'm applying it to my play. It's going to make me a better football player. So I had my respect level for him has just gone really, really to the moon, because that's the kind of dudes you want in your locker room. The one that can
no doubt.
But he also knows that there's certain guys he can't talk to like that, right? If you talk to them like that, it's gonna be negative. They're gonna go the opposite direction. So great coaches know how hard or how easy that they need to coach certain young men. What you got?
I just had another play I found that I thought was interesting. It's another example of if A&M is going to be aggressive and bring pressure. Here's an example right here. You catch them. They got 5 guys. They really technically brought 6. This guy, y'all can't see can y'all see my mouse? Like the arrow?
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So, you see that. All right. So
this is back coming out of the backfield?
Yeah. So, gosh, man, this is so frustrating.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he came out of the backfield. So we used to call this a share rush. This guy pretty much was on a path and then ended up taking him. So they technically brought 6. There's 5 guys out here, but they brought 6. This guy took him. He peeled him, is a share rush, right? What does that mean? You got man coverage everywhere else, right?
Crossing route.
You see the crossing routes, mesh routes right here, right? Almost kind of like a borderline rub, so to speak. Because you see this defender who's responsible
going over the top.
For Brooks has to go over the top, gives him enough space. Little boom, hit him right there. Just enough space, get the throw off. It's 3rd and 6, right? And here we'll skip to the result. That's a result, right? So we'll go back again. That's a result. Nice little quick throw just to cut. Again, this is just an example of countering when teams bring pressure. These are the things when you know you're getting that man coverage. You don't always have to hit on those deep balls, right, for explosive plays. There's other things you can do.
We got a lookout block right there by number 70, whoever that is.
That was why am I drawing a blank? Who knows? But yeah, that does. He was starting to get a little pressure in there, but that's why you got to get it out quick, and that's what we mean by getting the ball out quick. Whether it's quick slants, crossing routes, you name it. You can. If you're playing an aggressive team, you can counter it and you can capitalize. You just got to be prepared for it, whether you got that pre-snap or not.
But look what Jalen Milroe is standing in the pocket. He didn't bail. He could have bounced out here, and that defender is got his back turned. That's probably looked like some wheel route a little bit out of the backfield, but he could have turned and ran the ball, but he didn't. He got hit the crossing route and ended up in a touchdown.
Yeah, so you see them. I mean, they're showing pressure. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys walked up, borderline 7 or 8. Those guys are somewhat, they're not mugged up, but boom.
Okay,
and one
freeze it right there, freeze it. That's what I'm saying in the box. When you got all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, basically you might even account here up here to the left, safety kind of down in the box. I mean, you're talking about 10 yards. So they got a bunch formation. You know, both sides got a bunch. But an offset back. So let's see what happens.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm trying not to. I'll do a little bit, but like I said, boom. So we call this a share rush, right? So this guy is blitzing. If the running back swings, we call it a peel or a share. So that's what this guy does right here. So, but they originally brought
you peel on the back, you peel off the rush, so to speak, and take the back.
Yeah, there's just a different terminology. You got peel, you got share. It's all the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they brought 6. He ends up covering him. It ends up being fouled. But again, like I said, so that means you got man coverage on the backside. And that's why it's a great concept, right? This borderline is almost turned into somewhat of a rub route. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Shallow crossers. Like we said, Brooks ends up getting it wide open right here. And the result is touchdown. Yeah.
We need more of that, but we didn't have the same.
We do. No, 100%. That's, I mean, okay, see. What'd you say?
No, I'm just saying this is Bill O'Brien's offense.
Oh, got you.
I'm just saying that's Bill O'Brien's offense.
Well,
but you do need more in that. But again, look at the
great with the Patriots right now either.
Well, that's come on. We can't worry about that. That's not here. His offense did pretty good last year. If I'm not mistaken, they had one of the top offenses in the country.
No, I didn't say. I was never one of those people that thought he was awful. I thought he could have been better. It was very bland. It wasn't perfect by any means. But I didn't.
He averaged about 40 points a game.
And they also had Bryce Young. Jameer Gibbs, that's some talent.
My point. But here you don't have Bryce Young. But go back to the formation, please. I mean just the double bunch. I mean, give the defense something that they got to deal with. This guy's open because of the play call, right? They put pressure on the defense. Now, all right, the guy got a peel here with the back. We showed you that. Now you got 2 crosses. Here we go. This guy, the defender, look where he's at. He's in a pickle. That you're taught as a defender not to go underneath that guy. You go over the top, and you got a deep crosser behind that. So you got shallow crossers, 81 and 7. And this looked like I don't know who that is, the receiver right here, but he's going on like a
Holden. I think Trayshawn Holden, maybe.
They call it an over route, right? So because the pressure comes quicker than expected, because I think 70 let the guy go because they're trying to. You heard me talk about passing off blocks, right? You hit the shallow crosser. This guy's deep, so you saying I like this 4-3 guy versus this 4-5 guy, and I know this guy got his back turned because he's running with the back out of the backfield. Guess what? Nothing but open space because both your safeties were 10, 11 yards down. You had nobody deep, so that's an easy play call touchdown. Roll Tide roll. There you go. Look at the speeds: 4-3 and 4-5. I mean, you got your receiver on a safety.
Yep. Let me see. I mean, I can just.
This is why you hear me continue to say, guys, that I don't care who you have at quarterback. Offensive coordinators have to be able to call plays and get guys open. And when you offensive coordinators who do all this studying and understand the defenses, they need to counter with offensive plays where it's not all the time quarterback has to read. I mean, it's just like make things easy, make things quick. So Tommy Rees can definitely help Jalen Milroe out a great deal. Here you got trips to the field, balls over here on the hash, left hash.
Gun far trips, right? Yep. So
Yeah.
you call it far because the back is away from the tight end. So it's gun far trips. Right. But yeah, and this is a smart play call here too, especially at least pre-snap. I'm liking it because why? You know, these guys are playing off. And we saw what the route concepts they ran. I mean, you can hit these windows, boom, right here. Look how deep those guys are playing. Right? Because again, this is an RPO. So Milroe, right? You see him reading it. I mean, pre-snap, I'd be ready to pull that. Yeah, I'd be ready to pull that.
That's Jahmyr Gibbs right there. Jahmyr Gibbs. He has no hesitation with the end. So there you go.
I'd be ready to pull that right off the rip.
Front. So this is basically a 4-2-5 defense.
Yep. Gosh, I hate the whole copyright thing. I'm sorry, folks. But you see the result. Boom. Look at that window. Everybody's playing up. I'm trying to see what exactly they're running.
All right, because the RPO C23 in white, the RPO holds him, right? He has to respect the run just in case Milroe pulls it and run. That's his responsibility. So you put him in a pickle because now you got Burton that's screaming past him. You're right. So his eyes is in the backfield because if he gives it, he got to go be a field player, right? He would come down in this hole right here just in case it cuts back. Or if Milroe pulls it and run, he is now the outside defender. So just that little bit of hesitation to allow Burton to get behind. And where's the safety? Go back real quick, Christian, to the beginning. That's what.
And this is why I just don't know why we haven't ran that many RPOs. I'm sure we ran some, and I have to go back and really watch extensively. But
all right, where's the safety at? Nowhere.
I was about to say, I wish we had the back.
There he is. Okay, but he goes away, right? Or he's got a dart out here to the numbers. But now the middle of the field is wide open.
So they're when they're in single high coverage right here. I wish I could just play this, man. It's so annoying. Yeah. I mean, you see that again. You see the result, the RPO. I mean, I just don't know why we don't run more of them. Hopefully we start running more of them because again, it's a run pass option. He can always when he reads that end or whoever his read is. He can always pull that, and I'm telling you right now. I mean, they have to. A defense has to respect that run part of the option when you got a guy like this at quarterback. Plus, the other part of it is he can always hand the ball off, right? So, boom, right there. It's one-on-one with that free safety, and y'all see what happens. Missed tackle, result, touchdown. Man, I wish we could just run
again. Bill O'Brien, who people wanted to be gone, to what we've seen with Tom.
Oh, here's this. So we've showed two. All right, here's the other touchdown pass right here. Boom. So they are in. Let's see, am I missing? Oh, it's still tight end. So they're in a 2x2 set. All right, they got a bunch right here. It's 3rd and 8. A&M's bringing pressure. They're bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's got the peel up here.
I was about to
back
say.
Gibbs going. He's got the peel right.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what this dude is doing because it looks like they both are trying to take Gibbs.
That's a blown coverage.
I was about to say, so you got a bust. You got a bust from A&M, so I'll give you that. You got a bust, but you got this guy screaming off. So really, depending on what this guy ends up doing, I just want to just play this clip. But yeah, he might smack him.
He's going to come and look for the crosser route. And I don't even know what's going to happen, but I would think 81 should have an easy touchdown right here in the post.
No, he definitely does get the easy touchdown. But I was just saying that you did have that, but he probably would have been a tough shot. He would is that Prentice? Probably would take a tough shot. But another nice look. Look, it was a nice window. Let me see if they show it. He threw a nice ball right here. I really like this throw. They don't show the end zone. Gosh. Let me just show it real quick. I'll just let it.
So what's funny to me?
Look, y'all saw the throw.
Tight window.
Too much, but yeah, tight window. Nah. Nice throw.
And I know he fumbled the ball in this game, but it amazes me looking at these plays. And you saw him standing in the pocket, threading the needle, and that people will still say this man can't throw or he's not reading the defense. And we just showed you several plays where he had to read the defense. Again, this just shows you how important coordinating is, right? And this is why you hear me scream when I see so much elementary offense out of Bama offense. And that's why I'm like, they need to be able to do more with Jalen Milroe, because the fact that he can run makes defenses play a little bit cautious because they are worried about him. And that's going to open opportunities for him to throw the football.
Well, speaking of him running, right, here's another example right here, right? It's 1st and 10. Let me bring it back a little bit. Sorry, guys. This is going to get confusing trying to figure out everything, the formation. But another example right here. A&M, they don't get contained. I like this. Now, I can't see what's going on down the field, but what do you call this? An lookout?
A lookout block. That's not a lookout block.
We got a lookout action right here. I like that he's keeping his eyes downfield, but the fact, they sealed this side, right? I mean, there's no contain whatsoever. So what does he do? He makes them pay. Makes them pay. Just don't hold. Please don't hold. Look at that, all that grass. That's another way you make teams pay when they want to be aggressive. I'm telling you, sometimes if you catch them on a pressure and you find that open window.
And if 27 comes off to take him because he broke contain, now you're going to have Gibbs screaming down the see. So there's an option there.
You're right.
Now he's got to try to spin out, Steve.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, and that's what makes Jalen Milroe so dynamic. Like you said, if 27 doesn't plaster here, he comes off. Jalen Milroe is still 5-6 yards from the line. I mean, he dumped that right to Gibbs, man. I mean, his eyes are up enough. Big gain. That's what I think we need to see a lot of that in this game. Honestly, in my opinion, I think we need to see a lot of that.
All he needs to do is just protect the football.
If it's not, listen, protect the
football.
Slide
down even.
Yeah, 100%. Protect the football. Don't hold it so long. Throw it away if you have to. Don't take those sacks because we don't need to get behind the chains. And hear me out. If you don't have anything, go. Run. Take off, right? Don't worry about anybody who says, oh, he can't throw the ball. He just – who cares? Hey, man, if you got a lane, use those legs God gave you, brother. Take off.
Yep.
Got to. All right, I think that's enough.
I'm hungry.
Couple plays. Yeah, we got to eat dinner, but – again, thank you, everybody, for coming in here and checking us out on the Miller's Edge Extra, breaking down this preview for Texas A&M this upcoming weekend. Again, it's the Battle of the West, so to speak. Big matchup. Alabama traveling to Kyle Field in College Station. Let us know. Leave a comment below. But first, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't. That helps us out tremendously. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and drop a like down below. If you like the content, if you want to see more, subscribe. We appreciate it. Turn on those notification bells. But leave a comment. What are your score predictions? How do you think this thing's going to play out? Are we going to see Alabama be victorious going on the road? Can they do it again after a pretty impressive road victory against Mississippi State? Are they going to carry over that poise and confidence and that aggressive nature on defense, forcing turnovers, protecting the football? We didn't have any turnovers last week. What is it going to look like this weekend? I want you guys to give us some input in the comments below. But again, thank you all so much for all the support. And again, to Adam, who's always dropping huge bombs with the super chats. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much for the super chats.
Kelly, thank you.
Is awesome. And to everybody in here just watching and hanging out with us. We'll definitely, get to you guys as well with the questions more. We got a little tied up tonight, but again, thank y'all for being in here. You can always catch us Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa, or you can download the app or go to the website, Tide100.9.com and check us out there. Follow us on all social media platforms at The Miller's Edge. Remember, you can get the hats now. We've got all different colors on our website, millersedge.com. So check us out there. Adam, don't forget to inquire so I can send you your stuff for all your support. But yeah, man, been another great show of The Miller's Edge Extra. Remember, we will be live post-game. What time is the game, by the way?
2:30, CBS.
2:30, cool. So a game will probably be, we'll say probably
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
We'll probably be live around 6:30, maybe 7 for our post-game show right here. So make sure you guys are subscribed and stay tuned for that because that's going to be good. Hopefully we're coming here and we're celebrating a big victory. Alabama taking care of business.
We will.
Rolling on a victory. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But again, thank y'all so much for the support. Before we get out of here, you got anything, Pastor Payne?
No, I just think stay positive, keep your mindset right. Just see what Alabama does. I think this is a breakthrough game, and I think again 27-17 type of game. Tide will roll, and I think our defense will show that. You know what? They've been disrespected a little bit by all the chatter about Texas A&M. I think they will rally. they will create turnovers, allow Alabama to have a short field, and that's what you got to do on road games. So defense wins championships, defense travels, and they will show why they're back. And Nick Saban screaming and yelling, throwing headsets. You're getting ready to see that the Tide is back. God bless everybody. I hope you have a great night, rest of your week. And, I got to go feed this big body. Got to eat.
Yeah, you don't have your wings on the show this time. We had wings last night. Oh, yeah. Check out Buffalo's Cafe, guys. They're a big sponsor of ours in Midtown Village. All you can eat wings on Wednesday. But again, appreciate you guys tuning into the Miller's Edge Extra. We will see you guys this Saturday for the Miller's Edge post-game show around 6:30 or so. Thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.